Hey guys, welcome to our latest audio, visual, and lighting install we did here at Radiant Church in Owatonna, Minnesota. So welcome to the space. This space seats about 200 people and they just did a complete renovation. In this video, we're gonna show you all the upgrades from acoustic treatment, a new PA system, a new mixing system, an in-ear system, as well as a new video switching system and some cameras. And then we also have new equipment racks with sequencing and the whole shebang. It's a really clean and simple setup, yet very powerful for even a church of this size. So I'm really excited to dive into the details. Let's jump on in. The acoustic treatment in this space is by Primacoustic. It is their Broadway panels in the linen colors. These are 2 foot by 4 foot panels, and you can see they can be arranged so that you actually have a 4 foot by 4 foot square up there on the big wall. This is really important when you're gonna do acoustic treatment. I would suggest starting with treating the walls in the room. They did have some DIY panels in here before that were filled with your basic home insulation, but that doesn't really bring the reverb time down enough for optimal results. So they opted to upgrade to these Broadway panels by Primacoustic, and then they also installed them. So Corey is amazing. He is a super volunteer here at Radiant Church, and he is actually the one who installed all these panels. I think he said it only took him like 1 to 2 days to get all of these panels deployed. Prior to this install, Radiant Church had a very old PA system. Corey actually has been here for over 20 years, and he said the PA was even here before he got here. So it's over 20-year-old system that we decommissioned. It was the center cluster hang, and they had some old subwoofers as well. Luke, you look like you're a big fan of those old speakers.
Ready for them to come down.
Just embracing them. Give them one big hug before they're done.
Out with the old and with the new.
And we upgraded to a Fulcrum PA system. So this is the DX1565 speaker, meaning it is 60 degrees vertically and 50 degrees wide. It has great coverage in the room. Our audio designer is the one who takes the time to design the PA properly, to take into consideration the angles and coverage patterns to make sure we have optimal coverage in this room. These boxes really fit the bill, and these have Fulcrum's coaxial technology, where you have a tweeter and a woofer up here, and then you have another woofer down here. So these get the low frequencies. The woofer behind the tweeter gets the mid-range, and then the tweeter gets the high frequencies. It really makes the box nice and compact. And I'm telling you guys, these Fulcrum speakers, the sound is so crisp and clear and balanced. It's so easy to mix. Luke, you're the one mixing this morning or tonight, so you can speak a little bit more to that. So it's a really simple setup. We've got main left and main right, and for the rigging here, we have some custom hardware by Polar Focus, and they really make the install go very smooth because the hardware is designed to fit obviously around the beams here in the church, and then we can paint it to help it blend in and pretty much disappear when the work lights are off in here. Looks great, and it also gives us complete control over how we are going to aim the speaker. When our audio designer comes in to aim them and to tune the system, he can orient them exactly how he needs them in the room. These are the subwoofers. They are the Fulcrum Acoustic Sub 215L. These 15-inch subs fit perfectly underneath this stage. We did retrofit the hole a little bit. Shout out to Corey once again, super handy, who's able to give us a little bit more space that we needed underneath the stage. This looks great, and then it sounds great. You have so much low end in this system in such a compact size. Finally, we have the RX699 for lobby speakers. Guys, this is the best sounding lobby I've ever heard. I've heard a lot of lobbies, and these Fulcrum acoustic speakers do a great job. Of course, all kidding aside, make sure you have great audio in the lobby so people can hear the incredible preaching that's going on in there, right, Josh?
You got it.
You got it. So let's head on back to our first equipment rack, which has all of our audio gear. So it's this little room right back behind the stage, and check it out. And I'm gonna have Luke actually walk you guys through this equipment rack.
Welcome to the audio rack. This is right behind their stage here at stage left. And so this is a really fun rack. We've got a combination of new equipment and own refurbished equipment. So you'll notice some pieces that aren't completely tightly integrated, but that's part of when we deal with a renovation like this church, where we're not completely starting from scratch. We're using some of what they currently had on hand and what we were bringing in to update their system. So let's start at the top. At the top, we've got a nice light to light up the entire rack so that we can see it in the nighttime. We can see it when the lights back here are off, and if you need to come back and configure anything, you'd be able to quickly navigate. We've got a standard Netgear network switch for all of our equipment to be on the network, including Dante and local area control. We've got a couple of OFE Shure wireless units, as well as a Sennheiser IEM unit, and then this church opted to upgrade to 2 brand new SLXD units, and so they've got 2 great wireless microphones for their vocalists, and then they're using some of their older stuff for some of the handhelds and more auxiliary wireless needs that they have for people talking during the service and announcements and things like that. We installed an SQ5 here at this church, so you'll see a lot of Allen and Heath IO. So the first thing you'll notice is the Allen and Heath MEU hub. This church purchased ME500s for their personal monitor mixing solution, so they're getting a great clean stereo mix all over the network. This is basically a PoE switch, so all you need is one standard Cat5e cable to go to your mixer, and then everybody has independent control up to 10 units on one hub. As we move down, we installed 2 AB16-8, which gives us 16 audio inputs, 8 audio outputs, and then we have 2 of those, so altogether we have 32 ins and 16 outs. Now, because we're not using any physical wedges or anything, we're gonna be really free and clear of the output section, but we're using a lot of the inputs. So we bought some looms and some little snakes to keep cables nice and tidy, and all of these are going under the stage and then coming up to 2 sub snakes. So these are some of the snakes that we use, channels 1 through 12. So we have 24 inputs on stage, and then we have a little bit of extra breathing room back here in case we need to add more inputs. We've got some brush plates to keep the cable management nice and tidy. And we've got a Behringer Pro DI here with 4 channels so that we can easily get 4 channels from their electronic drum kit back here into one unit. Keeps it nice and clean and keeps us free from having a large sum of DIs in the drum area or under the stage. And then we've got our Powersoft Unica amps, and this 4L is powering our subs, and this 4L is powering our mains, and we've got our Powersoft Mezzo that is controlling our lobby speakers. So all of the tuning and optimization is all done through the Harmonia Plus software that connects with these amplifiers over Dante network, and that allows us to tune and get the PA sounding nice and tight.
With all these installs, we have to be mindful of cable management and how we are sending cable to our equipment racks. So you can see here, we've got this single trunk of cable that comes down, and then we've got a few service loops. It's always good to have some extra slack here. And then there you go. This is the back of the rack. It's a little dark. Let me help you guys see that a little bit better here.
We should note we have our RPCs down here for sequencing. We'll talk about the sequencing process later, but this is where we're sequencing our amps on and off, and then everything in the rack on and off in the appropriate step.
Yep, we really like these 44U racks by Lowell, because then this church, as they continue to expand their system, they're not going to have any issue with space of fitting new gear inside the rack. One thing we would like to see added to this system is probably an antenna and power distro for the mics. Budget didn't allow for this round of upgrades, but eventually we can clean that up. And we did test out all the microphones tonight with a full band and all the microphones going, and it was crystal clear. It didn't have any issues, but it could cause some issues in the future not having a distro here. To kind of orient you guys to the space here, you've got the new front of house tech booth, and up here you could see a window. This used to be like their old media control room, and then they also had an old tech booth over here. You can see their mixing console, their old PreSonus is actually still there. So they used to have to run sound like from in here. It does have a window, but obviously not an optimal way to have to run sound. So we'll show you the new tech booth in a moment, but let's head on upstairs and let's check out our next equipment rack, which kind of establishes the foundation of our network and video and our lighting infrastructure. So here's another 44 space Lowell equipment rack, and I'll walk you through this process. So we have our low power SCQR-P4 sequencer. And I mentioned that model number because this is our favorite type of sequencer because it uses RJ45 pass-through connections. Other sequencers out there use like the little wire that you just like use a little Phoenix connector and you like screw it in there. It's okay, but I don't really trust like those types of terminations. And I also just like how solid the connection is with the RJ45 connector. And then what's also really cool about this sequencer ecosystem is that all of your RPCs, which are the remote power control units, like a 15 amp or a 20 amp unit, that's what your devices are plugged into, like your mixer, your amps, some of these devices here, they have the RJ45 jack as well as some dip switches that allow you to select what step of the sequence you want that RPC to be on. Very powerful sequencing, so we have a button up here that can sequence the whole system, but then it also has a remote toggle switch right by the sound console in front of house, so they can walk into the sound console and turn everything audio and video on and off in the right order. Up next, we have a power distribution unit. This one is for our video switcher and our web presenter and our Echo Express SE1 by Sonnet. So this has the Decklink Duo in it to get video from our ProPresenter Mac into our switcher, and the video infrastructure here, this will turn on and off with the sequencer. Moving down the rack, we have our Sonnet Rack Mac Mini holding 2 Mac Minis for our 2 workstations at front of house. We have CG Mac, that means Computer Graphics Mac, that runs ProPresenter, and then they have the front of house Mac, and they can really run whatever they want. They can control their cameras and video switcher from either one of the computers, so it's totally up to them how they want to do that. Lighting, however, is connected to this CG Mac here, which makes it very convenient to run ProPresenter and then light key side by side. You can automate your lighting cues with ProPresenter MIDI cues. Down below the Macs, we have the KVMs by AV Access. These keep showing up in our builds because they are very handy and they've been working fabulously for our systems. We have been speccing all of our systems with a backup just in case if one of them goes down, our clients can easily swap them out and make sure they have a functioning KVM. We've got the KVMs here. You've got your unshielded Cat 6, which is needed for these KVMs that go down to front of house to the receiver side. And then out of that comes HDMI, your USB keyboard and mouse, and that's how you can have basically a remote control feature here for your computers. And it really cleans up front of house. I really hope to see more churches do this type of thing because a lot of front of houses, they become a cluster of so much cables and computers and equipment. Really better, in my opinion, to store and rack these things securely somewhere else where they'll be safe and people aren't gonna fiddle with them. Moving down, we have another Netgear 12-port AV switch here. This is the one that gets our main internet feed, and then from here it's gonna trunk to the other switch that goes at the second rack, and then we have all sorts of other devices plugged into here, all of our computers. We do have a Dante network, so we can send audio pretty much from any device that has a Dante card, like our front of house mixing console, or a computer running Dante virtual sound card, or our amplifiers. The Powersoft Unicas have Dante in them, so to get audio to them, it just goes over the network into the network port on the back of the Unica, and we have very high fidelity audio going directly into the amplifiers. Moving down here, we just have a shelf for some extra storage space, and then we have our DMX distro, and then we have our wall panel by ProChurch Lite. So here is the back of the rack here. We've got all of our network lines coming into our network switch down here. We did need to add on another little switch right here just to expand some network capability and connections down here. And then we've got, you see the KVMs, you got the Macs. So this is what the back of the Rack Mac Mini looks like. So you can easily access all of your computer controls. I put an extra dongle here in case they need more USB connectivity. This is our AVIO adapter. We could probably find a better place for that, but we're waiting on the right connectors for that one to get into the ATEM. So this AVIO though, while I'm here, this is cool because this is what takes audio from the Dante network, and this is how we get audio into the back of our ATEM video switcher up here. So up here you see all of our video coming in, and then we get the audio. Again, we're just waiting on some better connectors to clean that AVIO up. And And then there's a Sonnet up there. You can see the SDI out coming from the computers. And up here you have the power sequencer. So these are the two outputs you have for your RPC units. And then here is the input for the toggle switch we have at front of house. And now Luke's gonna walk us through the front of house setup.
Welcome to the best house, front of house. We did an SQ5 here at Radiant Church. This was a great solution for their mixing solution here at Radiant. Based on the channel needs that they had, the size of their band, and kind of the ecosystem that they wanted, the SQ5 allowed for a compact mixer while still packing the punch of having a 48 input desk. So they really have some room to grow into this for a long time, and yet it's really compact. It fits really nicely and cleanly in this tech booth. We are running the Dante expansion card in the back of this board, which gives us access to the Dante network. And so we can do things like virtual sound check. We can leverage Dante virtual sound cards from different machines, like the ProPresenter machine for audio playback from videos and things like that all over the network, as opposed to having to clutter up the desk with audio interfaces and analog cable. So the SQ5 was a great decision. And like I said, it paired well with the ecosystem that they wanted to go into. Over here, we have our front of house machine. And so this is just a base model Mac Mini. This is great for things like managing your PTZ Optics cameras, your ATEM software control or your ATEM configuration, maybe your Decklink Duo configuration, things that are super kind of easy on the CPU and GPU. You can put those control programs on a computer like this. And like I said, I really like having a machine right here for access to things like Planning Center for your Sunday service flow, as well as things like virtual sound check, so you can practice mixing without the band being here. It makes it really accessible just to have these two guys right next to each other.
So these were the two computers I showed you in the rack Mac up in that video rack. And then when you go under here, you can see, where do we put them? Right here. Here's a receiving end of a KVM that gets you the video, keyboard, and mouse for a ProPresenter computer.
Yeah, and it's great for Radiant. It's really nice to kind of bring everybody into one space as opposed to having a couple people up here and a couple people down here. The hard part about a church this size and having two separate spaces is that there's not really a great comm solution when you want to be talking back and forth with your tech team. So having everybody in a really kind of consolidated space, but having it really clean, very neat, and very simple, and again, leveraging things like KVM, allow for your lyrics operator, your broadcast operator, and your front of house engineer to all be in the same place so that communication is really streamlined and everybody's in the same place. In the middle here, we've got our multi-view of our ATEM 1ME constellation. So you can see we've got our program output, we've got our two PTZ cameras, computer graphics feed, our confidence monitor, and then we've also got a feed of our Blackmagic web presenter so they can leverage and monitor their stream. And last but not least, we have our ProPresenter machine. They're leveraging ProPresenter 7 for all of their graphic output, including their projector in the room, their confidence monitor in the back of the room, as well as lower thirds for their live stream. So they installed some Pro Church lighting fixtures. Again, shout out to Corey and the team here at Radiant Church for heading that up. And so we got their light key all set up with their show file from Pro Church Lights, but that way they can leverage and run both programs on the same machine, as well as things like Dante controller. They're also leveraging playback for their click and tracks playback machine. So they're able to play that back, and they're actually experimenting with MIDI as well on how to automate some of the things like their lyrics in the room. So this is the ProPresenter machine. We've got a little stream deck here for some of the configuration and control of the PTZ cameras. And last but not least is their Pro Church Lights lighting control panel, which is a great way to save some presets so that you don't have to open Light Key. You don't have to teach a volunteer or member of the church to actually come in and power up Light Key and navigate a software. They can just come in and press a button and the lighting will change in the room, which makes it super volunteer friendly. And a big shout out to the booth. Can we take a look at the booth too? Because this is a beautiful tech booth. This tech booth was not here when Radiant started this project, and they really wanted to have a space for their tech, not only their technology, but their volunteers. So a member of their church actually had this stone left over from another project that he was working on. He does this professionally, and installed this stone wrap around this really nice booth and the nice white finish with the wood top and the pillars and columns. And I think it just looks really intentional in this space. It matches the overall vibe of Radiant Church and is really well done. So when volunteers come in, they know that their team and their church took pride in creating a space for them to belong that's no longer under a staircase.
So this right here is the Pro Church Lights Pendant light, the Pro Pendant. So these are really cool DMX controllable, color changing house lights for churches. There you go, Google. I know people are searching for that, so hopefully the algorithm will pick it up and people will find this video. This is a really great solution if you want to have complete control of the lighting ambiance of your space. Right now I just kind of have a nice warm whitish look to them to kind of match the vibe of the room. We do have some other white work lights on right now, but these are great because it really brings and extends the lighting design out into the entire space. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these lights. It gets great coverage in this room that probably seats, like I said earlier, maximum of about 200 people. Behind me, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pro Washes by Pro Church Lights. And these are great front wash lights to get adequate front lighting on the people on stage, whether it's worship leaders or the pastor preaching. They're gonna have great even lighting. It's gonna look good both in person and on camera. And then behind me, you can see that they have the Pro Kicks by Pro Church Lights. So those are the blue lights. Ignore the white lights. These are just work lights that we have on right now. But the blue lights, those are the nice kick lights. I love how they can throw some blue light, purple light, whatever color you want on the background. It helps separate the background from the foreground. It also provides a nice color hair light for the subjects on stage. They also have the Pro Bars on the floor down there on the rock stone facade there. Kind of lights it up, adds another simple, tasteful lighting design to this church. This is not the type of church you're gonna have a bunch of movers and hazers and stuff like that that's over the top. This is gonna be appropriate for the space. This is a community neighborhood church, and I just think the lighting design, while it's professional, it still fits the vibe of Radiant Church and their culture. The projector they're using in this space is an older Vivitech projector. They did put a new lamp in it that did help the brightness and restore some brightness there, but maybe someday they'll have an LED wall. Who knows? But the projector does look good, and when you're setting up lights with a projector, just make sure obviously your lights are not spilling onto the projection screen. So we were pretty intentional about that. Just want to give you guys a quick tour of what it's like on stage here. So we've got our ME 500 units here for all the musicians. Again, like Luke said, they're PoE. You can place them on the floor. You could put them on stands if you have the clip here. Very convenient placement. They've got their bass guitar, they got 2 guitars over here. They have this little drum booth over here, and it probably was an enclosure for acoustic set at one time. Right now they have a Roland electric drum kit. I actually got to play the kit during rehearsal tonight because the drummer had to leave early, so that was a lot of fun. I actually kind of like how they have this little cover right here for, this is a little cover for their inner units for their vocalists over here. That's a great idea. And then we have a couple Rode microphones. These are the M5 microphones by Rode that are going to be their room mics, so that for the live stream, we can pipe in the feed of the sound coming from the congregation in the room, help it sound more live. And a part of their upgrades here too, when they're upgrading a new system, they did get some new DI boxes, new cables to really freshen up these stage inputs to make sure they have a clean signal from the source to the stage box, where it gets converted to digital over S-Link, and then it goes to the mixing console. For the camera system, we have 2 PTZ Optics Move SE cameras in gray, and these cameras are super simple to install. They just have one network cable, and they have an SDI output to get the video to the video switcher. They could do NDI if you'd like them to, but here in the system, we are piping them into the ATEM video switcher, and then they are remote controlling them from the web browser. So it's easy to control those cameras from the web browser. You can have some presets, and then you can easily switch the angles with the ATEM. You can also get a joystick controller for these PTZ cameras. When we have just 2 cameras to work with, I like having a back center shot here, and then over here, I did this side angle. I think this is a great perspective to have. It can be wide of the whole stage, or you can kind of get zoomed in a little bit tighter for kind of a quasi profile shot on worship leaders and the pastors. So very simple video infrastructure. We have projection screen output. We've got a confidence monitor out here so you can see the TV, which gives them lyrics and chords for the band. We do have a TV back in the equipment rack room, which is a green room, so they can see the live feed back there. And then we also have a video feed going to the nursing mother's room. So when you're doing an AVL project like this, you got to think about where do you need audio and video other than the main space, because there's a lot of spaces. I know I have a 10-month-old baby, so I've spent a lot of the last year in our nursing mother's room. Well, I'm not the one nursing, but with my wife, usually if she's like the only one in there. So it's important to have those spaces for folks who can't be in the service because of a crying baby. A huge thank you to Josh and Corey and the whole staff and team here at Radiant Church. They were incredible hosts. That's what makes our job so enjoyable, traveling the country, doing these installs at various churches where the communities are just incredible. They work so hard. They're just so fun to hang out with and to work alongside with. And I cannot just wait to see and hear the impact that this space does have on their community here, all the worship services that they're gonna have and host other events to just impact people's hearts and minds for the gospel, because that's what it's all about. It was fun tonight as I was playing drums with them, you know, after working in here for 4 days, for like 12, 14-hour days, it's like, oh, this is what it's about, the actual worship, and finally getting to use the space for what it's intended for. So thanks again, Radiant Church community. And thank you guys for watching the video. Let me know what questions and comments you have down below. We are easy to get a hold of here at Churchfront. Just go to churchfront.com, reach out to us there, and we can learn more about your situation. You can get on a free strategy session, and we will tell you more about what it looks like to engage in this type of process for your church. If you're looking to upgrade audio, video, and lighting systems, we would love to partner with you. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.